What's going on, guys? CEO here with week 9 of the NES. This week we are going up against CrazyRazey and the Swindon Fletchlings. Not sure if he has a YouTube channel, but I'll throw the links down in the description, as well as the links for everything else that's super important for this league, like the Google Doc down in there. So if you haven't been paying super close attention to this league, Crazy is one of the top 2 teams in the league. Both in terms of a strong draft that's hard to get around and playing probably better than, I'm going to say better than anyone in the league. No offense to anyone who's a good battler and watching this, but Crazy just is a very, very, very good battler, and he knows when to bluff stuff and when to be aggressive and set up. So I was pretty scared going into this week. But I think I built a team that's pretty good. I'm going to try to be a little bit faster in my team recaps of my opponent, just so I can get to the battle a little bit faster. Mega-Ampharos is a good tier 2, I believe, Mega in this league, so he gets a little bit of benefit to the rest of his roster for having a quote-unquote weaker Mega. But for being a weaker Mega, it completely shuts down Thundurus. There's not really very much I can do to it. And it hits very, very hard with, I believe, 160 base special attack. It's pretty slow, which is its main drawback, so I can hit it hard hopefully before it hits me, but if I'm not careful it can punch some holes in my team. Clefable's pretty much widely regarded as the best fairy in league format, but I feel like I actually have a couple of answers to it on my roster. It's not perfect, to be honest, but you can never really be 100% confident when you're going up against a Clefable. But I think if I play well enough, I might be able to go around it. Mandibuzz is a good wall. It's not very offensive except for foul play, which actually kind of makes it good against Victini here. As you're gonna see, even though I have answers to stuff throughout my team, Crazy also matches up very well against me, both in terms of typing and his speed tiers, which I'll get to later. So this was a very uphill battle for me going into this week. So Arcanine is something that I've seen him use very well. He definitely prefers the defensive set over an offensive set, but I'm prepared for an offensive one. I'm a little bit more scared of an offensive one, actually, to be honest, because if he brings Wild Charge, Flare Blitz, and an offensive Life Orb one or something, it could actually kind of destroy the plans I have for this week. So let's hope he brings defensive Arcanine, if he brings it at all. Slowking is something that I ran into a lot of problems with in practice. It's very, very bulky. It has really good coverage for my team, and it has Regenerator, so it can kind of just switch out whenever it wants to and gain a third of its health back. So I cannot have this thing just sit here and do whatever it wants. I'm also pretty scared of a Calm Mind late game sweeper, because if I don't have something to hit it physically, which it already has really good physical defense, but that's the side I'm forced to hit it on if it starts Calm Minding. If I don't have an answer to it, it can just pretty much run through my team. Ambipom starts one of 4 Pokemon that he has on his team that I just can't outspeed at all. I was trying to get in a free agent move that I'll talk about at the end of this video, probably after the battle, if I remember. But I was trying to get a free agent move after I noticed that my team kind of had an issue with speed. I didn't get it in this video, but I'll have it in before next week, so I'll talk about it a little bit after the battle. But yeah, Ambipom's one of 4 Pokemon that completely outspeeds me. I'm expecting a Fake Out 3 coverage move Technician set, just because that's the set I like to run, and that's the set I've seen him run. Mismagius, if it comes, I'm expecting either a Nasty Plot set or a Choice Scarf set, because again, with the Choice Scarf it just outspeeds everything on my team. And it actually has pretty good coverage. I'm not really expecting a Choice Scarf set, because if I bring Mega-Absol in on a Shadow Ball, it can actually take it somewhat well and then just completely trap it with a Pursuit or something. But I could see a Nasty Plot set, maybe with Dazzling Gleam specifically to hit Absol on a switch in or something. But yeah, Tangrowth is another regenerator mon, so if he brings both Slowking and Tangrowth, honestly, if he brings his core, or Fire, Water, Grass core of Arcanine, Slowking, and Tangrowth, I'm going to have a pretty hard time breaking through it. Just because he can kind of pivot around, regain health, intimidate my physical attackers, which is the only way I can really get through. So I'm kind of praying that he doesn't bring that core, because it's kind of an issue for this roster. Good physical grass offense also kind of hurts my team, because my main wall on this team is a water type, so yay. Terrakion is probably, on a team of very scary threats, Terrakion's probably the one I'm most scared of. If I let it get a sub and Swords Dance up, it kind of just goes straight through my team. It's another mon that if it's Choice Scarfed, it just outspeeds everything on my team. And it can pretty much OHKO anything on my team except for, I guess except for Granbull, pretty much. It can OHKO anything on my team if it has a right hit. Maybe not Vaporeon, but either way, it's strong as hell. And it's fast, so I'm very scared of it. Apparently, on this roster, I struggled to face all of the Guardians of Justice, or whatever they're called, from Black White, but Terrakion and Cobalion have both been very terrifying for my roster so far. So anyway, Durant is another mon that just outspeeds me, and if it gets a Hone Claws up, which he likes to run, should be able to just do a lot of damage to my team. Basically my theme this week, if you haven't been able to tell already, is just be able to pressure him so he can't really set up. Oh, that was gross, sorry. If I let him set up at all, I kind of start getting into some serious issues, and kind of just get swept. So I have to kind of keep the heat on him this week and at least try to force him to attack me over setting up most of the time. Before I get into that, I guess, he has Muck too. I didn't really prepare a ton for Muck, just because he had so many other threats on his team that I didn't really see a need for it to come, especially when I've been using Victini like almost every week, and I'm pretty sure Victini OHKOs. If not OHKOs, I've been using Victini and Nidoking, who, between the combination of them, should probably be able to kill. If it did come, it's mainly just a strong poison physical attacker, which I guess could have done some work to Granbull, but yeah, spoilers, it didn't come. But anyway, getting into my team, I don't know why it's taking me so long to preview other teams, I guess, but getting into my team, I noticed the Mega-Ampharos kind of did a lot of work to me, so I needed something that was able to switch into it and then kill it in return. So rather than going my usual Sheer Force Life Orb like offense, I decided to use an Assault Vest this week and make it kind of more of a bulky Nidoking. It has just enough speed to outspeed a max speed Arcanine, I believe is what I speed correct. Max speed Adamant Arcanine, sorry. If it was max speed Jolly, then it outsped, but if it was max speed Jolly, it wouldn't really be doing the damage that it needed to do to OHKO me anyway. And with this investment, I'm able to take a Dragon Pulse from Mega-Ampharos and OHKO it with an EQ. I'm pretty excited about this Nidoking this week, actually, because I think it can do a decent amount of work. I don't think he's expecting a bulky Nidoking, because I've never run it before, and I've never really thought to run it before except for this week. But yeah. After a long absence, Mega Skrillex, the Mega-Absol, is coming back. I noticed this week that I needed speed and I needed a Pursuit Trapper, most importantly. Because like I was saying in my preview, Slowking was a very, very big issue. It kind of just did damage that it wanted to do and then gained health all the time, and it was really hard for me to break through. I don't know if Pursuit is a guaranteed OHKO at full. I'll have to run that calc really quick. But I can at least attempt to Pursuit Trap it and Sucker Punch if it stays in for a strong physical stab. Flamethrower is for Durant if it wants to come in. It also does more damage to Tangrowth than any of my other physical attacks would have done, just because Tangrowth's bulky. And Play Rough is for the Mega-Ampharos and Terrakion if it's not Scarfed. Oh, and Mandibuzz. I knew there was something else. Mega-Absol actually had good coverage this week. I almost left it at home, but I realized that I probably need to learn how to use my Mega if I'm going to be serious about going forward this season. So I might as well use the set that I'm comfortable with, and try to expand from there, I guess. Going off of the theme of needing speed, I wanted to Scarf my Thundurus-Therian this week. Taunt. It seems weird to give it Choice Scarf Taunt, but if I needed an answer to stopping Clefable or something on his team from setting up, I guess I wanted to be able to have that option. Incinerate is for Durant and Tangrowth, although HPI's kind of does the same. Volt Switch is there actually for the first time this season, I noticed, because nothing on his team actually prevents a Volt Switch. So I'm planning on either leading Thundurus-Therian or using it throughout the battle to kind of just gain quick momentum and switch into stuff that can take hits. And HP Ice is there for Mandibuzz and Mega-Ampharos and Tangrowth if I have to, I guess. Honestly, Thundurus T is probably like the mon that I'm least comfortable with bringing this week. But there wasn't really anything else here that I felt needed to be brought. So I wanted to just be... Sorry, grammar is not with me today. I wanted to just have speed and at least be able to see if stuff was Scarfed. I normally don't like bringing Thundurus specifically just to like speed check stuff, but it's important to me this week to see if he brings a Scarfed Mismagius or a Scarfed Ambipom even, or a Scarfed Terrakion, or a Scarfed Durant, I guess. But those are 4 things that outspeed anything on my team unless Thundurus T is Scarfed, so I mainly just wanted to bring this to be able to check that, I guess. Rather than bringing my typical defensive Granbull, I decided to mix it up a little bit this week and bring a Choice Band to Granbull, because the only thing on his team that can take a Choice Band to Play Rough is Arcanine, and it has to be like very, very, very defensive to be able to do it at all. EQ, Crunch, and Ice Punch are also just nice coverage throughout his team. Basically, anytime Granbull gets to come in for free, I get to do damage to his team. The speed doesn't matter at all, because even at minus speed, I outspeed a regular Mega-Ampharos. If it's speed invested, it could kind of screw me over, I guess, but I decided to take that chance this week. Also, I guess I didn't really comment on it, but I really wanted to go for bulky offense this week, outside of Mega Skrillex, I guess. So everything on the team is actually going to have a lot of offense. I've been noticing lately that I had an issue like actually living hits and returning like damage, so I decided to try to mix that up this week. But yeah, between this coverage, I believe I actually hit everything on his team. Yeah, okay, so I hit everything on his team for super effective damage, mainly just to threaten and wall break early. Victini is meant to be a late game cleaner / sweeper. The Charity Berry reduces super effective rock type damage by 50%. So even if worse comes to worse and Terrakion gets a Sword Stance up, I can live +2 Stone Edge from full and retaliate with the Zen Headbutt or V-Create or Bolt Strike or my main gimmick for this week is the Trick Room, because like I said, I'm super slow compared to his main threats on his team. I have to be careful with this because he does have a Mega-Ampharos and a Slowking, so running Trick Room is pretty risky. But if I can kill both of those things and come in for free or close to free, and fire off a Trick Room on things that I know that I'm slower than, because I'm also a minus speed nature, I can potentially sweep a V-Create. I noticed this week during practice that I had an issue, like, this was originally like a Scarf Victini or something, and every time I would click V-Create, I'd be like, oh, okay, well, that was good damage, but now I have to switch out because of the minus drop to speed, special defense, and defense. But with Trick Room up, it actually kind of makes V-Create a very good sweeping move because it raises your speed, essentially, unless Clefable's unaware, but in which case I would outspeed it anyway. So V-Create, since it actually drops all of your stats, and Trick Room makes it so slower Pokemon move first, I would actually technically get to move first every turn and just be quote-unquote increasing my speed as I'm doing damage. So I'm actually pretty excited for this as a late game sweeper. Zen Headbutt's there for coverage because it does a lot more to Terrakion, and it's mainly just Terrakion and Muck, I guess. And Bolt Strike is there for Mandibuzz and Slowking. It actually does about 80% to Slowking. So if I can get any prior damage on it, like a Pursuit off Mega-Absol, a Bolt Strike should be able to clean up even against a pretty defensive Slowking. And finally we have my offensive pivot wall, I guess. I don't even really want to call it a wall, but I guess it is more wall-y this week because it's physically defensive and very HP invested. Scald hits a lot of his team, actually. And then the rest of the set's pretty standard with Protect, Heal, Bell, Wish. Main goal for this, obviously, is just a Wish Pass. I know I've kind of been getting a little predictable with my Vaporeon lately, but I don't know. I have other sets that I've been running in practice to mix it up, but this set always kind of just seems to be working the best, where I just make it defensive and I'm able to heal the rest of my team as well as myself when I need to. But I have to be careful for Mega-Ampharos, because Mega-Ampharos does a lot of damage. And Slowking can potentially set up on this set, because there's not really very much a Scald's gonna do, especially if it's Assault Vest. I can actually stay in against Arcanine pretty well if I figure out that it's not, or if it doesn't have Wild Charge. But yeah. I need to get some water before the battle, but let's go ahead and get started. Oh, and since I forgot to say this, I'm predicting a team of Clefable, Mega-Ampharos, Terrakion, Durant, and then some combination of Slowking and Arcanine, or Slowking and Terrakion, or Tangrowth, sorry. It's possible that he goes incredibly bulky also and just brings his Fire, Water, Grass core as well as a Mandibuzz and like one offensive Mon. But I don't think he's going to want to match my bulky offense with a team that's really, really bulky and kind of passive like that. So I'm predicting more of an offensive team. Alright, switching over now. Okay, so getting started, I was actually pretty close in my team prediction this week, which felt nice because I've been kind of off lately, but I'm glad that he didn't bring the Tangrowth because it could have actually been a pretty annoying wall, and I actually feel pretty confident with this team. I don't really have a designated lead in this matchup because I could lead Thundurus and just Volt Switch, but depending on what he leads, that might actually put me in a bad position. I figure he's probably going to lead Ambipom. He could lead Terrakion and just try to do damage right out the gate. He could lead Ampharos and just try to get a slow Volt Switch on me, and he could lead Arcanine to just try to intimidate whatever's coming out. So for the safest play possible, I just kind of go my middle ground play and just go Thundurus-Therian, because I figure worst case scenario I can Vol Switch. It does damage to something and I'll be able to kind of gauge what kind of sets he's running, because I figure he's probably going to be running some kind of bulky offense team, but he could be running other weird sets just to trip me up a little bit, because this is one of the best battlers in the league. So I lead Thundurus and he leads Ambipom, kind of like what I predicted. Nothing on my team unfortunately really takes a fake out that well, so I just go into the thing that actually takes it the best, unfortunately, which is Underbite, and as you're about to see, it still doesn't take it that well, because it's Life Orb. Seeing that it's Life Orb is good information, because if you watch my team builder, you know that there were a couple things on this team that I was really scared of him scarfing, and Ambipom is one of them. Since it's not scarfed, I can pretty safely assume that Terrakion's scarfed, but I haven't really confirmed that information yet. But if it's not scarfed, then Mega-Absol at worst speed ties with everything on his team, and at best outspeed, so I'm kind of expecting it to be scarfed at this point. So I do the calcs and realize that a play rough is going to kill Ambipom, and Hidden Power Steel is actually going to do a decent amount to me if he has it, and I'm actually kind of expecting it at this point because he has run it before to take down Mega Diancie. But I just decided to stay in and play rough, try to get some offensive pressure, because again, I can't let him try to set up on me or anything. He makes the good defensive play, goes into his Rocky Helmet, very, very, very physically defensive Arcanine, because this is a Choice Banded play rough. Even at -1, a Choice Banded play rough could do 50% if he was like fully specially defensive and not physically defensive. So I'm pretty much assuming this is like the physical wall on the team at this point. Good bring by him, because this is obviously my main physical attacker, but I'll work around it later. He makes a good prediction and just goes for the Toxic. I actually don't know if he was predicting anything or if he was just trying to Toxic Granbull anyway. But good prediction, because now Vaporeon is a little hindered. I have Heal Bell on here, but I can't really afford to go for it unless I want to give him momentum. So I tried to keep the offense up and go for Scald, even if it's not going to do anything. I don't get the burn, but I do get leftovers, and I'm pretty much in a good spot here. So at this point, he can Calm Mind, he can Scald, he can Thunderbolt, which is actually kind of what I'm expecting at this point. Or he can slack off if he wants to, which would be a weird play. But I'm expecting either a Calm Mind or a Thunderbolt here. I figure he's not going to Scald because I'm in with Vaporeon, and there's no reason for him to do that. So I make an aggressive double here and actually go into Absol. He goes for the Scald and does a significant amount of damage, but doesn't burn, thankfully. So at this point, I have Absol in. There is zero universe in which a Slowking outspeeds even a regular Absol, much less a Mega-Absol, so I feel pretty safe Mega Evolving here. And at this point, it's between going for a Sucker Punch to try to kill this thing or to go for a Pursuit, predicting a switch out. I've been playing pretty predictably the first couple turns. I intentionally played predictably in the beginning part of this game. Not like, I don't know, I don't want to say I like made the safe plays like on purpose, I guess, but I realized after a couple turns into the game that all of the stuff that I was doing is pretty predictable, so I thought that he wouldn't predict me to go for Pursuit here, or just try to go for an attack or a substitute or something like that. So I decided to make the very, very aggressive read and go for a Pursuit here, hoping that he switches out. And he does. And I get a crit and kill this thing. I didn't run the calc because I forgot to, but I don't really think a crit mattered in that scenario. If it did matter, it still would have done easily over 80% to Slowking and gotten it below half when it came in next time. So, good news is that Mega Skrillex finally gets another kill. I feel bad because this thing's very offensive and I've only gotten 2 kills with it so far, but I will be trying to use it a little bit more in the coming weeks. And it's nice that one of his biggest threats is down very early into the battle. He gets a free switch here and goes into Terrakion, which confirms to me that this thing's scarfed, because why else would it come in? I have to play it safe and predict a close combat or a Stone Edge or anything really to kill me at 30%. So I switch out into Granbull, who's a dedicated wall into this thing, and he makes a nice play and goes for Stealth Rocks. I thought the Choice Scarf Stealth Rocks could be coming, but I figured because I had Mega-Absol he wouldn't want to bring it, so good mind games there, I guess, for him being willing to being willing to go for Stealth Rocks when I actually had Play Rough and could have OHKO'd if I was gutsy enough to stay in there, I guess. And if you were wondering, I do have Sucker Punch and could have gone for it there, but because Terrakion has Justified, he gets an attack boost if he gets hit with a Dark type attack. And the last thing I want to really be doing is giving Terrakion an attack boost when it already kind of destroys my team. So I have to play pretty safe when Mega-Absol is in around it. So he knew that and went for Stealth Rocks, which is a good play, but now we're back to the position from a couple turns ago where he has to go into something that's going to take a Play Rough. He doesn't want to go for the same switch, which is good because I actually predict him and go for the Earthquake there. If he would have went into Arcanine, that actually would have done well over 50% and could have been a 2-KO. It also would have done very significant damage to Ampharos, so I think he was scouting for Earthquake, which is good on him. I have to switch out because it's not going to 2-KO Clefable. So I just go straight into Nidoking, and he goes for a Wish, which is actually pretty surprising. I wasn't really expecting a Wish Clefable here, but I know that he has no idea what item I am at this point. So I decided to play the Bluff the Scarf game here again, because honestly I actually did want to run a Choice Scarf Nidoking this week, but I realized that a bulky Nidoking actually would have been better. So I'm just going to go ahead and pretend like I'm scarfed for a little while until it ends up mattering, I guess. He goes for Protect to Scout, and I go for Poison Jab, showing that I'm physical, probably showing that I'm Sheer Force Life Orb, possibly showing that I'm just Sheer Force Choice Scarf. He gets the Wish, gets back up to full, understandably switches out into Arcanine to take this hit. I'm okay with it because I kind of want to show that I'm not going to let his Clefable stay in. Like I'm willing to take a 6th damage from Rocky Helmet if it means that Clefable is not getting a Calm Mind on me for free. And also if he had, I guess I should have said this before switching, but also if he had Psy Shock, it wouldn't have killed. It would have done a lot of damage, but it wouldn't have killed, and I would have gotten rid of Clefable, which I was okay with. So I make the predictable switch, again, go into Vaporeon. He shows that he's like fully defensive, recovers, switches out. I decided to throw up a Wish because there's no reason for me not to. And at this point, if you watch my team builder, you'll know that I actually EV'd Nidoking, like specifically to take on Mega-Ampharos both defensively and offensively. So at this point, it's a pretty free switch for me to go in. I take minimal Stealth Rocks damage. He goes for an HP Ice, I think. I'm assuming his HP Ice to hit Thundurus also. Could be HP Psychic or something, but either way it's super effective, doesn't do very much, and the Wish comes true and I get back up to full. So, same situation as before, I guess. Nothing really wants to take an Earthquake. Things can come in, I guess, but nothing really wants to take an Earthquake. So he goes in Clefable. It does a decent amount of damage. And at this point I decided to show that I'm not scarfed. I think he wanted to take advantage of the fact that I was scarfed there and potentially go for a Calm Mind or a Wish or something. But I'm not fucking around with Clefable. I know that it's an issue. So I'm just going to go for the Poison Jab, show that I'm not scarfed or Life Orb because I don't take damage from recoil. And now he's staring at 100% Nidoking and he doesn't really know what it is, which is nice for me. So he makes the smart play and just goes into Ambipom to get Fake Out damage. These Stealth Rocks are actually really starting to add up, unfortunately, because I didn't really bring, obviously, anything to get rid of hazards. I didn't think that it was going to be an issue since Terrakion was his most likely Stealth Rocker, and I didn't think it was very likely that Terrakion was going to bring Stealth Rocks or go for Stealth Rocks, I guess. So I just decided to go ahead and sack off. Granbull there. He would have been very nice in the end game, but I just unfortunately didn't have anything that wanted to come into a double hit right there. I need to keep Victini in the back healthy, by the way, so I can attempt to take a Stone Edge, especially now that Stealth Rocks are up. It's going to be harder to do that now that my Intimidator's gone, because if he gets a Swords Dance up, I kind of just lose at this point. But luckily, I'm fairly certain that he's Scarfed, so I don't think he has Swords Dance. So at this point, I need to go into a Revenge Killer and just decide to go into Mega Skrillex here. We Speed Tie, which I think he knows, but I'm also just going to go for a Sucker Punch, because if he goes into, like, if he switched out there, I basically wasted the turn, but outsped anything, except for Terrakion, I guess. But if he stayed in, tried to get greedy and try to kill me off, which made sense because of how threatening it was to his team, I just was going to outspeed and kill. So, pretty happy. I guess I could take a break here to say I'm pretty happy with how Absol's doing this week. I feel like this is the first week where it's finally getting the revenge kills that I thought it was going to be getting all season long. So I'm pretty happy that I'm actually able to pick stuff off like this. I don't want to take any damage right now because I can still switch in from Stealth Rocks again. So I just go back into Karen. He makes a nice double because I've been pretty predictable so far. It would have actually probably been a good idea for me to predict his double and just go into Nidoking, but with how important Nidoking was this game, I really wanted to keep it as healthy as possible, because it outsped 2 of the 3 things on his team and did super effective damage to 3 out of the 3 things on his team. So knowing that, I go for a Wish because I know I can live a Volt Switch. Not well, but I know that I can live a Volt Switch and actually take advantage of the Toxic, die this turn, and then get a 100% free switch into said Nidoking. I figure he's just going to go for damage here, so I just try to get rid of this Arcanine. He shows the Bulldoze, which is interesting, because that would have actually really messed me up if I was a Scarf Nidoking. But because I'm Bulky Assault Vest, it actually doesn't matter at all. Fun fact. He outspeeds me now, which is kind of annoying, but there's really nothing to prevent me from going for another Earthquake. He makes a good play and goes for a Flare Blitz to do a lot of damage to me. But I'm actually feeling okay. I know that it's going to be a lot harder for me to take a hit from the 2 remaining things on his team with Nidoking now, so I have to prepare for a backup way to win at this point. But I'm up 5-2, and he has his 2 most threatening things left, but I'm actually in a decent position here, I think. So he sends out Terrakion, who I know is Scarfed, and is going to go for damage here pretty much no matter what. I wasn't actually expecting a Zen Headbutt, to be honest, but I don't know, I didn't want to sack Nidoking here, but at the same time, I didn't really want to take damage from anything else. Hindsight being 2020, it might have actually been better for me to sack Thundurus-Therian here, or at least take damage on it, I guess. But I wasn't expecting a Zen Headbutt. If I would have been an absolute god there, I guess I could have switched into Mega-Absol and gone for a Play Rough. Although I guess if I would have been a normal god, I would have switched into Absol here and gone for a Play Rough anyway. But that's okay. I just decided to go for the Zen Headbutt and show it, I guess, so he knows that Terrakion isn't 100% safe a switch in here. Sorry if that sentence made no sense, by the way. I'm just hearing it back in my head. And at this point, I need to figure out what to do here. I'm quickly realizing that Thundurus-Therian actually wasn't really the best bring this week because I 100% forgot about Mold Breaker, like, breaking through molds, I guess. Super stoked to see Thunderbolt and then realize that I don't actually have Volt Absorb when I'm in against this thing. So I'm just going to go ahead and take the Thunderbolt because it's the least neutral to this. Go for an HP Ice, do the damage I can do, and then finally make the switch that I should have probably just made in the beginning, like after that Terrakion, and avoided all of this, and then just gone into Mega Skrillex here. So, like I was saying a couple turns ago, nothing takes a Play Rough now, so I finally just kill this thing off. And it's 1-on-3. I'm a little weakened, unfortunately. like, more weakened than I would care to be here. But it's a Scarf Terrakion versus a pretty dead Mega-Absol, a Victini that's going to be a little over 50% when it switches in, and Vaporeon, which is dead, I think, actually, and should not even be up here. I just forgot about that, sorry. So, 2-on-1. So I know he's going to go for an attack here, but I actually can't Sucker Punch because of what I was talking about earlier in the battle. I don't want to give him a +1, because if I give him a +1, he basically wins no matter what. Victini has a very faint chance of living a Stone Edge even after it comes in from rocks, as long as he doesn't set up right now. So, praying for a Stone Edge miss, I just decided to go for another Play Rough over going for a Sucker Punch and getting guaranteed damage. He hits the Stone Edge, which is fine, because like I was saying in the Team Builder, it's an 80% chance to hit it. I would expect him to hit it more often than not. And I go into Victini at 51%, and I'm pretty confident that I can barely live here, and I think that if he is very, very offensive, I can actually kill here. It's not very likely, but I have a faint chance to kill. So I just decided to go for the Zen Headbutt here. I actually do live the Stone Edge because of the Charity Berry. Don't get a high enough roll here, and unfortunately he lands 3 Stone Edges in a row to seal the game. And I lose 1-0. I am actually pretty content with how I played this week, despite kind of choking the end of the game there, I guess. There was a way that I could have won, and there was a way that I could have, even with all the misplays on turn 30, if I would have just gone for a Trick Room, I could have played for a little bit more hacks in my favor to try to win. It wasn't very likely for me to pull out the win this week. I guess I can say this now for a couple of different reasons. First, I'm uploading this on Tuesday because we had a family emergency over the weekend where my grandpa passed away, and I wasn't able to record or really team build for like the second half of last week. So Crazy and I didn't get to battle until yesterday, Monday, and in that situation, I don't want to like claim a moral victory here or anything, but I'm pretty happy to go down to a close 1-0 against one of the best battlers in the league. I'm a little annoyed that I choked the end of the game because I did bring Tricker and Victini specifically to take a Stone Edge from Terrakion, outspeed it, and potentially hacks it to death for the win. And I didn't do that on turn 30, but outside of that, I'm actually pretty happy with how I played. I'm glad Mega-Absol finally did something, because I feel like it's kind of just been sitting on my roster until now. I'm glad Nidoking continues to do stuff, because both it and Thundurus-Therian are now in the top 5 for kills in the league, which is pretty cool. Or differential, sorry, not kills. They're both up there for kills too, but they're both top 5 differential, which is more important, I guess. I'm kind of rambling here. Oh, the last thing I wanted to talk about before ending the video. I talked about in the Team Builder how Crazy had a good speed matchup against me this week because I didn't get a free agent transaction through. It's through now, and I actually want to point it out really quick because I haven't been doing that very much. I decided to drop Spiritomb for Excelgor. Actually, hold on, let me pause this real quick. Alright, well, I can't edit this apparently, but I dropped Alright, so I'm probably just going to have a weird edit here, but there was one more thing I wanted to talk about before ending the video, and that was my free agent transaction for what was supposed to be last week, but will be this upcoming week. I realized that I had some speed issues on my team, like I talked about in my Team Builder, and just decided to drop Spiritomb, my tier 4 draft pick for Excelgor. I was going to pull up the Smogon window, but OBS isn't really liking recording a window right now for some reason. But basically I needed speed, and Excelgor was by far the fastest thing available. It has base 145 speed and base 100 special attack. It also gives me another form of hazards, which I really need, and gives me a couple cool different lead options that I didn't have before. I really actually did love Spiritomb, surprisingly. I didn't really think I was going to like it that much, but it was actually really nice. But going forward, I knew that I was kind of get picked on by teams that had multiple things of over 100 speed. So now I have a much higher speed tier for them to have to prepare for, as well as another form of hazards to support the rest of my wall breakers. Okay. So with that, I think that's going to be the end of this video. Next week we will be taking on the Detroit Darkrais, coached by MDS MVP, I believe are the initials. Hope I said that right. So I'm looking forward to that because it's another tough win. But we are actually still, believe it or not, we are 8th in the league because of differential at 4 and 5. So we are just on the cusp of... Well, actually, we're technically in the playoffs right now, but we're only +1 ahead of the guy behind us. So we're in the thick of the playoff race still. We have a lot of tough games coming up, so we're going to have to play well. But I think with the things that I'm learning the past couple weeks, I feel like we're starting to turn a corner. And I'm pretty excited going forward. And I'm really excited to use Excelgor, actually, because I really like it in lower tiers. And it gives my team something I didn't have before. So if you guys are excited, please drop a like. Any support on the series is really appreciated. If you guys have any sets you want to see me use, or even Pokemon that you might want to see in the future, let me know. I'm probably... I have some ideas for next draft, but if you have some things that you might want to see specifically in League play that you haven't seen before, please leave a suggestion, because maybe I'll be interested in that too, and see how it goes. Alright, have a good one. Bye.